The developers for Call of Dragons just announced some exciting new stuff, including war pets, a 30 versus 30 battleground like Ark of Osiris from Rise of Kingdoms. Heck, we've even got new artifacts showing up. So stick around in this video for my thoughts on this crazy update on its way soon to Call of Dragons. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and if you're new to the channel, I want to share with you that I've been playing Call of Dragons for 6 months since beta, and also I've been playing the predecessor to this game, that's Rise of Kingdoms, for the last 5 years. So I am so hyped to see the events and things that are about to show up in Call of Dragons, and I want to do two things. I want to review the official Instagram where this stuff was teased, and then I want to go into the patch notes where they talked about some of these things. And the war pets, I don't remember seeing in the patch notes, so we'll look at those pictures, and I just want to talk about my hopes for that system and the direction it could go. That will be really awesome. So let's first start with the Instagram pictures. Roots of War. This is a new campaign game mode, okay? And this is where your alliance is matched to another one of similar power. You capture buildings, deliver the Lifestone, gather resources, and defeat opponents to score points for your alliance and yourself. The alliance with the most points wins. This is Ark of Osiris from Rise of Kingdoms by another name, and I'm okay with it because the strategic possibilities in Call of Dragons so dramatically exceed whatever's possible in Rise of Kingdoms. It's actually astonishing. I do have several questions though, and we'll get to that in a minute. The rewards section. After the battle ends, your wounded legions will be fully healed, and you will receive rewards based on your personal point score. Okay, I mean, I think it also should be based on alliance results, but I would assume that it is. Now, this is the map, and there's a lot that I want to talk about with this map. First of all, there is obviously this objective in the center that you're going to be battling for, right? And we can draw on this map real quick. We'll go over here, get out the old editing tools. Okay, let's mark this thing up. We've got this objective in the center. Obviously, this is going to be critically important. I think that's where the Lifestone is going to spawn in. Okay, but then we've got all these other objectives kind of off to the side that probably give you some number of buffs that could include attack, defense, health, march speed. Also things that generate points for you and your team passively. That would be my expectation, and I assume the developers anticipate you will sort of split the map 50-50, where kind of you get half and the opposing team gets half. What is interesting, however, is the design of the center here. It looks like there's only two ways in. So if I clear up all the drawings I've done so far, we can see that there's probably a way in through here and a way in through here. And what I love about this map design is that it has accounted for the fact that flying units in this game are a thing. So you can see that there's these areas that you can't cross. Well, if you have a flying unit, you probably can just go right over some of these areas. So it's going to be really interesting to see the extent to which flying units determine the sort of outcomes of these fights, given that, like, okay, you have like a ramp over here, a ramp over here, but what if I just take my flying unit, okay, and I just go like right over these sides or around the back or whatever, right? Like, it creates a lot of strategic possibilities that just aren't possible in Rise of Kingdoms. And I think that possibility space is very, very, very exciting. Now, this is just the map, but there's so much more to talk about. Let's go and get a look at the next picture here. There's a new event, the Celestial Battlegrounds. You defeat 10 rounds of incoming enemies. Enemies gain buffs at the start of each round, and you gain extra points for clearing the stage within the time limit. I think this could be okay, but it starts to feel a little bit like Dragon Trail to me, and doing that same thing over and over isn't very exciting. So my hope is that there's something actually exciting and dynamic in your strategic choices, and not just like, we made an event and we're throwing monsters at you and like, hey, defeat them. But like, if it's the same thing every time, I don't know. Like, I hope there's something to it that's exciting and different, and that this isn't the sort of equivalent of Golden Kingdom from Rise of Kingdoms, which became very stale very quickly and was more of a chore than an exciting thing to do. So hopefully we get some exciting strategic choices in here. By the way, just to key back to this really quickly, so this is an Ark of Osiris-like game mode, but alliances play seasons in Call of Dragons, right? So the weirdness here is that, like, if I have heroes that are at a certain level and I'm up against Alliance where their heroes are different levels because their servers older, their seasons longer, right? Like, how is that going to work? The same is true of leveling your artifacts and all kinds of things. So my understanding is that this is going to be battles within your own server initially, and then eventually there'll be some cross-server gameplay. But that's the big question mark for me is like, okay, well, if I just started a new season, my heroes are all level 1, and if you're at the end of your season, your heroes and artifacts are all level 60. So like, how do you reconcile that is going to be, good luck. Interesting question. From here, the event calendar. Very glad that we're finally seeing this. We have this in Rise of Kingdoms. It's a very cool feature. Not a lot to talk about on here. Big events, big prizes. I love it. Well, I mean, if the emoji says she loves it, hey, there we are, okay? How can I say no to that? There's also the new artifact, the Goldcrest. Now, I don't quite understand the passive ability on this, so you're going to have to help me out in the comments, okay? But the way the Goldcrest works is it deals damage to a selected legion. That's 2,800 factor. So far, I'm good with this. Now, the interesting thing about a selected legion is that you pick the legion. And I say that's interesting because, like, the Infernal Flame, you just hit whatever you're already targeting, for example. And I like that artifact. It's so easy to use when you're in combat. You don't need extra clicks. So the upside is that apparently, I think, you can target whatever you want, even if that's not the thing you're actively targeting right now with your unit. And the other thing you get from this is 15% haste. And that lasts for 10 seconds. I mean, that's not a small amount of haste. And the passive ability here. Now, this is why I don't understand why it's passive. Skill deals additional damage when Ffraegar is in your legion. I guess that's the passive aspect. So it adds 900 more damage factor to this thing and also immobilizes the legion for 3 seconds. Yo, that is brutal. I mean, that could be life or death right there for whatever you're chasing down. So do I want to use this? Yes, I do. Is this one of the best Marksman artifacts? Man, I'm honestly, like, not sure. Obviously, you need to put it with Ffraegar. Like, you go for this artifact if you're using Ffraegar. You don't go for this artifact if you're not using Ffraegar. And it's, like, actually that simple. And I've got mixed feelings about artifacts that are, like, overtuned to be only good with a certain hero. But we'll talk about this a little bit more when we jump in game. For now, we know what this does. Let's go to the next thing on the list, which is the War Pets. And yo, this has got to be on the thumbnail of the video because I think War Pets in this game could be, and I say this like unironically, insanely badass. I think this could be insanely cool. I think this could be insanely fun. I think this could be insanely rewarding and is actually a feature I am unironically just like extremely hyped about. And here are the things that would make it good, and I'll also share with you my fears and the things that could make it unfun. If your War Pets have mechanics like leveling up, they have things like skilling up, they have things like talent trees, these are all really rewarding because it involves player collection and player choice. And that is always really fun. I think that's actually really cool. This ends up being kind of like an artifact in that sort of view of the world, sort of, where maybe even some pets are like, have affinity for certain heroes, right? And do better with them. Or maybe you develop affinity with a hero after you use them together for a while. Whatever that is, I think that all could be really cool. The thing that would make this system really unfun for me is if it goes heavily in the realm of like loot slot machine, where it's like, I've got my dragonfly, whatever this is, right? This dragonfly war pet, and I need to pull from a loot slot machine to get a plus 5 attack attribute. And it's like, bro, oh God. The thing that makes collecting in this style of game fun, and the monetization even relatively fun compared to other pay-to-win games, is when it is not essential to your still being able to make strategic choices. In other words, even if you play this game 100% free to play, yes, there is randomness, what heroes you get from gold keys, but you still get strategic choices for where am I going to put my universal tokens, and what talent points am I going to choose, and which heroes am I going to invest in, and which heroes am I not going to invest in. And there's a ton of strategic choices. So as long as the core of this system is strategic choices, even if there's some randomness to how it works, that's all fine, as we've seen with gold keys. I think that's fine. I think that's because with gold keys, the randomness is relatively inconsequential compared to the strategic choices that you make. So as long as the strategic choices outweigh the randomness, I think this could be a really, 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 really fun addition to the game. And the possibilities here are actually like, it's a huge possibility space with what they could do with pets to make them fun. Ranging again from like, cosmetic upgrades. Like, look, I would even prefer if the game was monetized more in the direction of buy your cosmetics than buy your power. Like, I'm going to be real with you. So even if they took the pets and they were like, yo, we made some cosmetics, you can buy them. And like, that's how they make their money. Okay. Like, I'm cool with that. Even if the cosmetics have randomness, hey, okay. That's not something that like influences their combat capabilities right now. If this ends up being a system though, where it's like, I don't know, I played Pokemon Go, right? And you got to like watch for the IV, the internal values of the Pokemon, and make sure you get a 100 IV, you know, Pikachu or whatever the hell it is that you're collecting. I don't know, man. That could start to, I could see that being a little bit more in the realm of like too much randomness and a little bit of frustration, as opposed to like the pure fun collection aspect of what this could be. And like, yeah, who doesn't want a battle pet, bro? Like a war pet? I'm in. I mean, I'm sure some people will be like, no, I don't want that. Okay, but I grew up with like Tamagotchis, all right, where you like literally, I was in like, I don't know, middle school or something, and I got this little stupid Tamagotchi that you have in your pocket or whatever, and you got to feed it and whatever. I don't know, man. War pets could be cool if done right. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I want a Tamagotchi. I already have kids. All right. I'm not saying a kid's a Tamagotchi. I'm just saying this could be really cool as long as both the sort of monetization and the strategic player choices are good. I am really hyped for war pets. But if you think this is all, by the way, we haven't even opened up the patch notes yet. So let's pull open these patch notes and see if there's other insights we can get about even the war pets, because I don't remember seeing that. But yo, that looks cool to me. Okay, I actually am very hyped for that. Okay, here we are with the patch notes. Kella here. Updates coming on 7.13. Big Poggers. Roots of War. Okay, this is the 30 versus 30 game mode. Diverse terrain that shapes your team's strategy. By the way, they can do so many maps with this and change up the entire thing just by changing up the map. Fight your way through the fog of war, enveloping the battlefield. Okay, fog of war is great in this game. Fog of war, you don't have fog of war, by the way, in the regular like fighting that you do in your kingdom. But the fog of war could be so good for this game, for the 30 versus 30 game mode, because like a cav rush is like scary, but it's even more scary if your mages get attacked from behind and you didn't see them coming because the fog of war was there. You see what I'm saying? Like the fog of war opens up immense possibilities that are so good for this game. Unleash powerful artifact skills to wreak havoc on your enemy. Roots of War will be rolled out to certain servers very soon, then gradually expand to other servers. Yeah, so I think this is like a within your own server sort of a thing initially, maybe, or like you only battle against other servers of a similar age, but like how are they going to handle cross-server situations like I was describing earlier? It's going to be really interesting. Also, the fact that they mentioned powerful artifact skills, I wonder if the artifact that they teased for us is something you get from this 30 versus 30. I wonder if that's like a reward, or alternatively, I wonder if the sort of holy sites that we saw in that map power up your artifacts. I think that also could be really interesting. And now they say an even richer combat experience. The new legendary artifact, Goldcrest, we reviewed it. Looks dope. Improve the battle display. Numerical damage numbers will now indicate when your legion has taken a crit. I think that is awesome. Okay? Like very light design touches that visually inform you of what's happening are so good. Improve the scout reports. Cool. Fixed an issue where damage values would not be displayed in reports for the artifact Spring Blades and Infernal Flame. Good. I would like to see that, actually. I am very curious about Infernal Flame specifically and the situation in which the damage was not displayed. Improved hero promotion. You can now save metal combinations and use your saved metal combinations the next time you promote a hero. You know, I have been wondering if there's like a hidden luck coefficient associated with your metals in this game that determine whether or not you crit, and I don't know if there is. So it's interesting that they let you save metal combinations, because that says to me that metal combinations actually matter way more than we have treated them up to this point. So I'm not sure what that's about. Adjusted the duration of attack buff for Thea's skill, Lex Lucius. The attack buff will last until Thea's Legion loses their shield. I don't know if that's good or bad. Definitely leave a comment with your thoughts down below. Fixed an issue where the Visage of Sanctus, that's the artifact for Thea specifically, would fail to activate Thea's skill, Lex Lucius, after gaining a shield. Oh. Yo. Visage of Sanctus is just so good on Thea. Oh my god, that's crazy. Fixed errors in the description for the staff of the Prophet and Heart of Kamasi. All right. I'll be eager to see what those errors are, because I don't actually use either of those artifacts. They've got a smoother route to prosperity. Alliance improvements. Alliance leaders and officers can now edit their alliance recruitment info through the alliance management screen and share it to chat channels. Very cool. Added alliance logs. Crucial, bro. Love that. Very important for officers to see what the hell's happened in the alliance logs. When alliance members have been offline for over 3 days, alliance leaders and officers will receive a mail. Let's go. Very good. Help me manage my alliance, please. Added a reset. Dude! Added a reset feature for policies. This is big. During the season, you can reset your policies and refund all spent prestige. This feature has a 30-day cooldown. Yeah, I mean, why not let people do this? They still have to gem the freaking policies in order to progress, but maybe they just don't want to go to a different zone. Like, if you wanted to reset your policies, you had to resurge. And I did that, but that puts 80% of your troops in the hospital. So if you're saying I can do a policy reset without switching zones when I make a mistake on my policies, that's big poggers, man. Change seasonal custom tokens. If a hero is a Generation 1 hero, you may exchange Generation 1 or higher custom tokens for that hero's token. What I think this is saying is that you can, like, actually unlock the hero with custom tokens, which is kind of cool. And currently available G2 heroes, Ffraegar and Sindrian, very cool. Beginning with Season 1+, Stars Reignited. That's technically the second season you play in the game, but it's called Season 1+. You'll not be able to attack other players for 48 hours after the season begins. This includes PvP, attacking cities, attacking resource points, and destroying buildings. This is ensure players are able to develop during the early game. I mean, you know, I think by early game, what they mean is early season. So this is definitely like a first come, first serve for getting territory, which is really interesting. I have mixed feelings about this, but I will say that, like, the first 48 hours of a new season were chaotic enough already. The fact that you could, like, fight and be immediately in war from the second you enter the server is, like, a little intense. So, like, yeah, like, take it from someone who had their chosen starting zone invaded by, like, multiple servers, I think, worth of players. Like, yeah, no, that's a little intense. More enjoyable events. Added a new calendar. Yes, Kella will bring you the details every week. New Celestial Battleground. We saw the sort of description of that. A more accessible map. In Season 1, Stars Reignited, you can now see the locations and levels of all villages. Yo! Okay. And in Season 1+ Stars Reignited, you can now go directly from an individual village management menu to the Alliance territory screen. That's cool. I mean, that's quality of life stuff right there. Other improvements. Added a season chat channel. After the season summary, you can use this to chat with people who will be in the same server as you when the new season begins. Okay. It's interesting the developers are giving us ways to organize your new season. Very interesting. You can now see your chances of receiving certain items from hero chests and daily deals. Very good, very good. You can now share Call of Dragons community content to the in-game chat. Very interesting. That's actually very interesting. I wonder how that's going to work. And as a content creator, this actually could be very important to me. Improved League of Order building visuals to better match the visuals or whatever. PC improvements. Improve the display for chat channels. Okay, added a pre-download feature. Okay, cool. Pre-download the update. All right, cool. I mean, this is all very interesting, and it doesn't even mention the battle pets. So I think we're probably not getting battle pets in this update, but war pets are probably coming in the next one. But I would really love to see what they're doing with those war pets. I think those actually could be 11 out of 10, unironically incredibly fun, if they give us strategic depth and strategic choices. And if it becomes a loot slot machine, well, then I think the opposite will be true. I think that could just be really potentially frustrating sort of monetization on the game. That like, we could talk about that and cross that bridge if it happens. I just really hope that this is giving us good strategic choices. And that, you know, look, at the end of the day, like, this is a war game, but it's also a collection game. And when you have control over the collection that you're working on, I just think it adds so much more fun. One final thing that I want to talk about before we wrap up the video is just what to do with Marksman artifacts in particular. And we have several of them, okay? If you're using Kanara or Nico and you have them maxed, I think you have to just use the Rattle Spear. I've subsequently learned that you can basically escape out of the animation where you're targeting to regain control of your troops. So I actually think the Rattle Spear is very, very good now, now that I've learned that you can do that. So I think this is probably your like number one pick if you bring one Marksman March. And your number two pick is actually not the Shadow Blades, weirdly enough. The number two pick has never been released yet. And that's all the way down over here because, I mean, I haven't obtained it yet. And I somehow misclicked and it closed out the screen. But I have not obtained this guy right over here, Viola's Bow. This seems really good, okay? What does it do? Deals damage to up to 5 enemy legions in a rectangle. It's got moderate damage factor, but damaged targets are sealed and cannot cast their artifact skills for 10 seconds. Hello? I'm just saying that seems really good. This to me seems better than the Spring Blades. I guess the Shadow Blades. I could be wrong on this, but this just seems really killer. So in terms of the top two, I think it's those two. So is the new artifact for Ffraegar specifically going to be better than using the Viola's Bow? Maybe. I mean, it could be. The thing that I can't figure out is that Viola's Bow is obviously set up to be sort of like a base tier artifact. Let me explain that. The Greymar's Warhammer, the Viola's Bow, the Fang of Ashkari, even the Breath of Jarkantis, very interesting. They all give a smaller amount of damage taken and damage dealt boost when you get them to 5 and 6 stars. So I'm kind of wondering, like, why have we not seen Viola's Bow and Greymar's Warhammer and Breath of Jarkantis? I mean, maybe they're going to modify these before we actually get access to them. But in many ways, like, yo, look, I can just use an artifact that gives me 2.5% less damage taken and 2.5% more damage dealt. And, like, that's really good. So I kind of wonder if they're flagging these as being lower quality, potentially, right? Lower power level, why we haven't gotten them yet. Meanwhile, we have other artifacts, right? Like, I mean, look, I've got this over here, Dragon Scale Armor. Now I reduce my damage taken by 7.5%. Bro, this is based on your skill level of the artifact. But like the Infernal Flame, 7.5%. Yo, like the max for you know what you can do on a Phoenix Eye is 5%. So, anyways, I wonder what the best artifact's going to be. I would have said again, like this Viola's Bow is really critical, and it may actually be just silencing your enemy's artifacts for 10 seconds could be so strategic. It's still worth it. But I don't know, man. I'm very, very curious for the sort of pecking order of what the Marksman artifacts ought to be. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you want to see the last time I did a review of sort of the best artifacts in the game, I'll have a card in the end screen for that in just a second. Alternatively, if you want to see the best heroes in the game and my thoughts on the sort of Season 1 tiered heroes, I'll have a card in the end screen for that as well.